I am. It's past time, and what the hell? Hey, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, I know I didn't do any intro music this morning. This is how people. I tell you, I am bollocksed up from. I know everything I want to bring onto the table today, and I don't have half my stuff together. I really don't. So today is that, and um Dar says it's my video card. It looks like it may be going out on me. Uh, I'm nursing a hard drive right now because I haven't been able to get a new hard drive for this computer yet. And and my money's getting a little bit tight here because I've been buying for hurricane preparedness.
How much shit you buying for? Well, see, yeah, never mind. I'm not gonna say anything.
Well, I had to buy a new food saver vacuum packer, vacuum sealer. And our coffee maker went out, and the coffee maker the wife picked out was $150,
All right.
and trying to get the since my vacuum sealer went out, that was another 100 and some odd dollars for a new vacuum sealer. Because what we do here for hurricanes, the wife and I, we're drawing up our menus last night, and I try to pre-cook about 3 weeks worth of food for the two of us. And I mean, anything that requires water, like rice, pastas, um, mashed potatoes, all this stuff. Anything that I got to requires water to prepare. And then I vacuum seal it, and then put it in the freezer. Uh, we buy um, if I'm baking chicken, I go, if I'm cook up the chicken and such and vacuum seal that, put that in. Uh, buy strip steak or roundhouse and pre-cook that and seal that up, so that for fajitas and such. Just basically fill the freezer for about 3 weeks worth of meals because and then after hurricane season's over with, we just start eating everything in the freezer. We just start eat the freezer down. So anyway, and then with the new grandbaby coming along, the wife's buying stuff for the new grandbaby. Uh, What kind of preps do you do for hurricane season?
Um, I just make sure that I keep the car full of gas and bring the um, um, make sure I have plenty of charcoal.
Right.
And that's about it.
Yeah, we have charcoal. I've also got a propane gas stove, camping stove,
Yeah, I don't. Well, I
and
do. I have a little emergency one, but have never used it. I'm not going to use it unless it's absolutely emergency and I have to.
oh, Shio, good morning. And you are absolutely right. And I never thought of that way. And I'll probably never be able to unsee that again. Thank you much. Uh,
What is Shio saying here? God only knows with him. All right. Yeah. That's pretty clever.
yep, that is clever. I give him that. I like that. I like that. So, but anyway,
That's
I
kind of how
will.
she rolls.
I will say this: even though I complain about the wife spending $150 on a new coffee maker, I have to admit I do like this new coffee
What
pot.
coffee maker did you get?
Well, it's a Keurig, and
Uh,
they don't make the I can I'm going to modify this. Wife doesn't know it yet, but I'm going to modify it. You can I can barely fit my travel mug in it, and it feels if I don't slide it in just right, it rubs against the bottom of it where your coffee comes
that's
out.
what she said.
So I'm going to take my Dremel and I'm going to cut out part of the base so that it fits in there. Morning, Wiki. How you doing today? Hurricane season peels in September. Well, we can have here in the Panhandle. We can have hurricanes and such all the way into the end of October.
Yeah, I don't see where I'm at. I don't really worry too much about it.
Right.
I'm in a pretty good spot. I'm in like one of the sweet spots.
We we don't. I mean, and let's see. I've lived here since January of '84, and we've only been hit twice with hurricanes. Once was Hugo, and Hugo hit us 3 times. Then, of course, had Michael. Well, Hugo just kissed us 3 times, and then of course, then Michael come through and I will. And what really saved us from a lot worse with Michael being a Cat 5 is it was such a fast moving storm. It wasn't like that one that hit down in the Tampa area a couple years back that just sat there for almost a day and a half, beating the crap out of that area. Was that 2 years ago or was that last year?
I don't know. I don't pay attention.
Uh,
I don't really worry about it. So
so
I know last year we got hit with that one that hit down south of Tampa, then went across the state, then came up the coast and screwed up Flagler Beach and
I think
Ormond and all that.
I think that's the one I'm thinking of. I mean, it just sat there and beat the living crap out of that area for a couple of days.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
because went over to Flagler Beach last weekend, and they're still trying to recoup all that.
oh, we still got structural damaged buildings from Michael, and that's been almost 5 years now.
Yeah, so during all that, I mean, I never even lost a single shingle or anything else.
So,
Spent most of my time sitting out on the back porch watching it rain, watch the wind blow.
whoosh. Last last night, the wife had me. She bought some sweet potatoes, knowing that I am not a fan of sweet potatoes,
Uh,
and she asked me to cook them up because they've been sitting there now for about 2 weeks, and it's like, well, either need to cook them up or eat them or throw them away. So I took one and cleaned it up and sliced them up into pieces and cooked them in the cast iron skillet with a bunch of butter. And I was just going to put some brown sugar on them and then throw them in the oven and call it done.
yeah,
And the wife goes, no, 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 I don't want brown sugar on it. What do you want? She goes, use that cinnamon toast crunch powder we got up in the cupboard.
Well, that would be good.
So I put that on there. And like I said, I do not like sweet potatoes. I do not like sweet potato pie. I do not like sweet potato French fries. I haven't liked them since I was a kid. But I had to try these last night because it's like, well, with that cinnamon toast crunch crap on there, maybe. And I did cook, like I said, I did cook them in a lot of butter. So any chances of these things being even remotely healthy was blown out the window. And they were actually turned out to be, they were actually pretty good. I'm not going to say that they jumped high on my favorites list, but sweet potatoes could have possibly been removed off of my will not eat list. So the only thing that leaves on that list right now then is asparagus and oysters. So butter, garlic, and rosemary. Huh. I will have to try that with this other sweet potato I got. Because I got butter, I've got garlic butter, but I don't have any rosemary, but I got to go to the store anyway this afternoon. So I will, because I do got to cook up this other sweet potato and probably cook it up tonight for dinner. But anyway, our government. All right, we know that. We know that our government is whacked right now. A bill made it through the House and the Senate and to the president's desk, telling him that the American people do not want him to spend $400 billion canceling voluntarily taken student loans. Now we've all discussed we've been discussing these student loan bailouts now for a couple of years, well, at least a year. And this is going to end up in the Supreme Court. And there were Democrats that support this bill, 2 from each chamber. So that was enough to get it through Congress. And if you want to get down to a basic cynical viewing aspect of this whole thing, this is a vote buying scheme by Biden and the Democratic Party, at the very least. It's just another step up from if you vote for me, I will increase welfare. If you vote for me, I will spend your tax dollars on your housing. I will get you into housing. I will get you free medical. I will get you free cell phones. I will get you this. It's all vote buying. And both parties do it to one extent or another. Democrats just more blatant about it. They target certain communities with it or certain demographics. They scared the old people people my age and older with the idea that Medicare and Medicaid are going to be harmed. They scare people like Dar and I both by saying the Republicans are trying to destroy the VA system and veteran care.
Don't scare me,
So,
because I
okay.
know that's BS.
Well, they try to scare us.
Yeah, they fearmonger about that stuff,
Right.
but we know it's
They,
BS.
they have a bill that will have stuff in there for veteran care. Then they throw a bunch of poison pill crap into it.
Well, yeah, never mind. I'll let you keep going.
Well, no, I mean, and then when the Republicans vote against it, Republicans hate your veterans. Look at this; they wouldn't pass it. They wouldn't vote for this bill with veteran care in it. Well, if it'd been only about veteran care and had not have been about funding, the latest one died, I think, because it had funding for abortion in it, using tax dollars for abortion care. I mean, the Pentagon right now is saying that if a woman wants to have an abortion, she's active duty military, they will give her permissive TDY. And what permissive TDY is, it's free leave. You can go do what you want to do, and we won't take any money we won't pay you your leave, for your housing and food as when you normally go TDY. But what they have added to it, though, is they're going to pay the travel cost for them to travel to get this abortion. So it's a sort of a hybrid of a permissive TDY and a regular TDY. And the Pentagon is pushing that through, right? Trying to push that through against because as a way of the military funding abortions.
Yeah, it's a workaround.
Yeah, it's a workaround. Now, I took my when I was in Germany and when I was active duty here in the States, come back from Germany, and I was working with the Scouts, the American Scouts and the Pfadfinders in Germany, and then just American Scouts here in Florida. I took a few permissive TDYs to where I could, but that was basically free leave.
Yeah.
Be able to take a week off to go out and spend at an encampment. Okay. And not have to burn my leave to do it because I was supporting a scout organization that was on base. So, but they didn't pay me, all travel costs and everything else came straight out of my pocket. There are no government funds involved other than the fact I didn't have to report to work for those few days every year. I think at the time you were allowed 15 days a year of permissive TDY.
I don't know. I've never heard that term, never had it, so I don't know.
Okay. So, but anyway, President Biden on Wednesday vetoed the bill that would have scrapped his $400 billion student loan handout and vowed he's not going to back down when it comes to forgiving college debt of millions across the country. Now, I don't know about you, Dar, but back when Obama got the brilliant idea of having the federal government becoming the primary source of student loans, a whole bunch of us said that this would happen. We foresaw this back then. And of course, the Democrats and those who supported the idea said, no, 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 that would never happen. And it helped control the cost of college because the federal government would be a good steward of the money. They'd ensure that where the money went would be worthwhile education. Since the federal government's become the primary source, the cost of education has really gone through the freaking roof. I'm not, folks, Republicans in Congress have led an effort to pass a bill blocking my administration's plans to provide up to $10,000 in student debt relief and $20,000 for borrowers that received a Pell Grant. Nearly 90% of those relief dollars go to people making less than $75,000 a year. If these people got college educations and they can only find a job paying them $75,000 a year, other than teachers, public school teachers, which everybody knows you don't become a public school teacher to get rich. There, you didn't get the proper education. You did not get the proper education. And I'm still going to go back to my primary thought on this. Nobody held a gun to your head. Nobody forced you to get that degree. Nobody forced you to borrow that money. Now, I will have to blame the colleges on this with their social activism education requirements. You will have to take a class on women's equity and race and gender and this and that. Those requirements, any public school that has those requirements, all right, should not be. I don't think that those requirements or those classes should be a requirement at any school. Those are ideological classes. I'd put that much in the same as that any public school requiring uh, a student to take a class on Christianity or a class on Hinduism or Islam or something like that, where they were indoctrination classes, a class telling you how you had to be baptized or whatever you needed to do to be, to indicate your submission to Hinduism or your submission to to the Islam. But anyway, there's I can't find any. I've listened to the Democratic arguments on this, and I haven't found one that actually persuades me to change my mind.
Nope.
They're not persuasive arguments. And in most families, both partners work. Most households, both partners work. So we're talking, we're talking a possibility here of a family with $150,000 a year income getting $20,000 worth of student loan debts paid off. Now, once again, all this is also setting a bad precedent, in my opinion. That
Yep.
once you've done something like this, then people are going to expect it to happen again and again and again. And pretty soon they're going to say, well, why should we pay to have go to college anyway? Let the
Well,
government let the federal government fund all colleges and everybody goes.
well, you see, now you're getting into the slippery slope argument, which, if you think about it, Social Security in that was supposed to be a temporary program to help the World War II vets as they came back from the war. And as you can see,
Are you sure about that with Social Security?
yeah, pretty sure that's what it was. That's how it started. And it's now, become a permanent thing with, and so a lot of entitlement programs that we have in the United States started off that way. It's supposed to be a temporary program to help a certain group of people. And then it's become permanent, and it's part of the non-discretionary spending, right?
All right.
So when they talk about government shutdowns, right, they say, well, we have to stop the welfare checks. We have to stop these checks. We have to stop. No, they don't, because that's non-discretionary spending. So when they shut down the government, all they're really doing is say the non-discretionary spending you have to stop.
Right.
So when they shut down the government, it's actually good for us, the citizen. So, and I kind of agree with Trump when he said it. They should force the default, because then that way the government couldn't spend any money. Just only the non-discretionary spending could be done, right?
Right.
So a lot of this, sending money to Ukraine and all this other bullshit had to stop. Sending the money to colleges had to stop. Because the government funds a lot of colleges, right?
Oh yeah.
Even though most of these colleges are sitting upon millions of dollars, the government still funds these colleges. And I think that's just the biggest bunch of bullshit. Now they're talking about, doing away with student loans. So what are they saying? The government is going to 100% fund colleges, just like they do K through 12 education.
Yeah.
And if they start doing that, if they do this one time, then it becomes a permanent thing. And then Congress can encode that into law, and it becomes non-discretionary spending. So, that, and see, all that was just a long way around saying that I agree with you. This becomes a slippery slope very quickly.
Yeah. I'm, and there's some things, some programs within universities. I don't mind the government funding. Some research. When you have a field expert as a professor, and he's working and he's doing a grant project for the federal government. He applied for a grant for a project. Some of that, some of the things like that, I don't mind. I wish they had tighter restrictions on them, and I wish that the colleges or the trademark or the patent actually belong to the federal government and not to the college or not to the professor, since the government funded it. But then the government also funds uh, private companies like Moderna
Yeah, then to
and
do research and
Johnson
stuff.
and Johnson and all these and other drug companies for their research. And these companies maintain the patents on that stuff.
Yeah, and what so I see I'm kind of thinking that there's a lot of stuff that the government funds that they shouldn't be funding.
Well, there's that infamous case of a shrimp on a treadmill.
Exactly.
You know, why do we need
Well,
to know how a shrimp on a treadmill runs?
yeah, so there's a lot of things that they shouldn't be funding. I mean, when you look at some of the stuff they funded in the past and all that, it's but then again, if it wasn't for ARPA, we wouldn't have the internet. So,
ARPA, uh,
but see, that's kind of a different thing because
yeah, that was ran through the military.
yeah, and and I see the point of wanting to create the internet because um, in this whole thing of trying to tax the internet and all this kind of stuff, by its very design, it was supposed to be a communication platform that you could disconnect from and disappear and then reconnect from someplace else and all that. So by its very design, the whole taxation is stupid. Yeah, see, Eagle, I agree with you. There's so many things um, that the government needs to get their nose out of. There's so many things they just need to quit, to stop, because a lot of things that they fund and do hurts us. It doesn't help the citizen. And see, the thing is, and the other thing is too, is the government is supposed to work for us, not control us. So yeah, see, I'm trying to be good and not be upset.
Okay, I'm getting a chance here to look at chat,
Yeah.
and you know, she described herself as 5'3", slim body, blonde hair. And if you ever made a woman that admits that she's wrong, apologizes, and changes her way, dump her immediately. It's probably a man. uh, I can probably, I think I could count every time my wife has admitted she's been wrong. But she probably count.
She could probably count a million times you were wrong. So
Oh, she does remind me on occasion of something that I did wrong 5, 10, 15 years ago. And I know one night, God, she got particularly nasty with me. We were having one hell of an argument. And she brought up something I did wrong. And it had been a few years back. And I said, well, the biggest mistake I made since we've been married. And she said, what? And I said, the biggest mistake. And then I went back to the day we got married. Mm. Don't ever do that, gentlemen. Never say you made a mistake saying I do. Never, ever, ever do that.
well, the last guy that said that in public ended up killing his wife. You know that, right?
Really?
Yeah. So,
This is a story I'm not aware of.
well, see, there's a lot of things you're not aware of that I am.
That's true.
Because I'm a weirdo. Full-fledged, 100% proud to be weirdo. So there was this guy on what is it? Family Feud, and the question is, what do you regret, doing or not doing on your wedding day? And he said, saying I do. And then 2 months later, he killed his wife.
Okay. Was that answer up there on that board?
I don't remember because there's a lot of stuff I don't remember because I didn't really pay that close of attention.
Yeah, you're right. She's the one. She's the one that made the biggest mistake. She said, "I do." She said yes twice. She said yes, and then said, "I do." So she made as big of a mistake as I made, and that's a lifetime sentence. Let's see here. Um, you know about that fire up in Canada?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, it's causing all the air quality alerts I've been getting.
that's New York City yesterday.
Yeah,
That
the orange haze.
oh, see, I was not aware of this fire until last night. I was researching something, and this show, and somehow I got on infrared imaging of the northern hemisphere
Yeah,
and of North America, and they showed those fires are being seen from outer space on the infrared, and like so that led me down that rabbit hole looking at this.
well, I floated around in the ocean for a couple months in the haze, during Desert Storm in the haze and all that. When you step out on deck, your skin, you could feel the oil on your skin and everything from those fires.
Right?
So this for me is not a big deal. I mean, I don't live in those areas, so I don't have to worry about it. And I know, like in Virginia and other places, they're getting, um, you know, the haze and all that. But yeah, so I'm not seeing it as, I mean, it would suck. Don't get me wrong. And like Hammer was saying on Monkey Stream, that the air quality sucks for him because he lives up, I guess, pretty close to that
Uh,
Connecticut border.
I haven't had a
Uh,
chance to listen to Monkey Stream from last night yet,
yeah, I was listening to it this morning because I
but
got up way earlier than I wanted to this morning.
I got up late this morning. I didn't get up until quarter after six or quarter after five, rather. So, but then I was up all night Tuesday night and literally up all night. It was 8 o'clock before I even 8 o'clock in the morning before I even thought about where being to the point where I could lay down and try to get any sleep. And the dog started whining, you know, because the wife had gone to work and the dog started whining and barking every time I laid down. So I had to sit on the couch with him or else all day.
Yeah,
But
see,
anyway,
I don't have pets or anything, so
I don't mind that. I don't mind our animals. Uh, they're for the most part, but every now and again, this damn dog, he just gets on my last nerve with his barking. When he'll want He's in and out, in and out, in and out. And speaking of being in and out, he's outside begging to come in. So does that mean it's getting ready to rain?
Who knows?
It, it must be because he likes being outside as much as possible during the day. Unless it's like yesterday, thunder busting outside.
Yeah, we were promised rain and we didn't get it.
We didn't get any rain. We got a lot of thunder though. A lot of dry thunder. Oh, how'd the bread turn out? The bread turned out pretty good, and my attempt at making English muffins failed. So I've got to look at that again and revisit that attempt to make some English muffins. But the bread itself really turned out good. In fact, I made, found a new recipe for grilled cheese sandwiches that really turned out pretty cotton picking good. You take shredded cheddar cheese, shredded jack cheese, um, Philly cream cheese, jalapenos, and hot sauce. And you mix that all together and use that as your filling for your grilled cheese sandwich. And that turned out great. I mean, that really looks good. So I gotta give that a try. I just happen to have all three in that, everything except the jalapenos in the house.
Oh, we got jalapenos coming out our ears.
Well,
Our garden has produced.
oh really? Oh,
Yeah, so we
great.
got so many. Problem is I mean they are freaking hot.
Candy them.
Our well, we already did several quarts.
Okay.
So, but yeah, they're
Make
freaking
up a
hot.
bunch of cowboy candy.
Yeah, we already did that.
Yeah. Those things are that is absolutely delicious on pizza. God, those are amazing on pizza. Even the wife likes them.
Yeah, I did. Um, Last weekend we had some friends over, so I smoked some ribs and I used the juice from the cowboy candy to glaze the ribs, and it's pretty spectacular. Then then I used a mustard based barbecue sauce, and yeah, it was quite delicious.
Mm.
Of course, that there were no leftovers for that, and I'm going to I am going to smoke some uh, chuck roast, and then uh, so after you smoke it, you cut it up into chunks, right? Then what I'm
Right.
gonna do is I'm gonna put butter, brown sugar, and cowboy candy in it, then put it back on the fire until it all uh, stiffens up and gets nice and caramelized. Then I'm gonna make sandwiches out of it.
Mm-mm-mm.
And that's right, I said sandwich.
Sounds good.
Oh, it'll be good. It'll be really good.
That sounds absolutely delicious. Yeah, I'm going to take my smoker is out of commission, so I'm I'm going to try to do a the deal where you um, put your cast iron skillet with your wood chips and over the coals and make my own smoker that way and get it to smoke that way. So, but I really do. Check that link. Oh, the Guardian
Yeah,
link there,
yeah.
Sheila.
I already checked it, and the thing of it is there was an article that came out years before that one that was even. Um, so basically, what the article is stating is because of the nuclear blast that
Oh yeah,
took place in Nevada, and that then all that sand was radioactive, right?
right,
And so a lot of that sand was taken to different place, movie sets and that. So a lot of the actors like John Wayne and all that, a lot of them died of cancer prematurely because of that radioactive sand. So
right,
it's kind of an interesting, yeah, because I remember when I was back in the mid 70s, they made a big deal out of that. All the Hollywood backlot where they were making westerns and that had that radioactive sand in it. Because remember when? Because I remember when you know several of the big actors at the time had passed away of cancer,
right.
and that's what they were blaming on was that sand from Nevada.
Yep, they're saying that's what killed uh, John Wayne
Yep.
because I mean they actually shot Genghis Khan there, the Conqueror. So, um, but the conspiracy theorists uh, are out strong about those fires in Canada anyway. They're trying to link them up with the fires that went through the northwest United States last year, and how all of a sudden the fires in northwest United States last year just sort of all of them popped up at one time,
Yeah.
and now these fires in Canada they all popped up at one time, in all the different locations, and uh, trying to say that this is a governmental conspiracy, one world government type thing. So, but yeah, this. Uh, oh, I accidentally closed that tab. I didn't mean to close it. Okay. Yeah, satellites photos. Oh, hey, Data, how's it going? I haven't missed a whole much. Talking about some governmental conspiracy theories right now on these fires that popped up in Canada and people trying to link them to the fires in the Northwest U.S. last year. As far as in California last year, though, that was mostly due to bad land management, as far as I understand, not properly doing fire breaks and such, not properly clearing scrub out and undergrowth. So, but Biden still isn't done spending our money. We're still under the government side here. Biden still isn't done spending our money. Because on top of wanting to spend $400 billion in student loan bailouts and the billions of dollars we've sent to Ukraine, and now sending F-16s, training, how United States, how Biden can say that we're not being an active participant in this war, I don't know. if you're supplying my enemy, the person I'm fighting, with weapons and training and anything else, as far as I'd be concerned as you are an active participant in the war. You can't say your hands are clean and you're not participating. Biden under renewed pressure to send long-range weapons to the Ukraine. And this here, I don't understand why why the Republicans are doing this. I don't understand why the Republicans are supporting this battle. U.S. lawmakers on both sides of the aisle make a renewed push for the Biden administration to send Ukraine controversial long-range munitions as Kiev's long-expected counteroffensive appears to get underway. The range of 190 miles, nearly 4 times that of the range of Ukraine's existing rockets. The Army tactical missile system has been the subject of intense debate for months. Jake Sullivan feared that sending the missiles would make the conflict eventually spiral into World War III because Ukraine could use weapons to attack deep inside Russian territory. More recently, there's growing concerns that inside the Pentagon that the U.S. doesn't have many to spare. Now, there is just an article in
See,
Business
now that's
Insider.
the bigger concern than anything else.
Right. Well, there is just that article in the Business Insider that we're running out. We've sent so many of our 155 mortars to Ukraine that we don't have enough if we needed to use them. And of course, we're not being paid for any of this, so that means we're having, taxpayers on the hooks to replenish the U.S. supply that the Pentagon and our military experts believe we need to keep in supply. But yeah, I mean, how deep are we cutting into our own defense?
Way too deep.
I mean, our gas reserves are, for all intents and purposes, nearly spent. Biden released so much of it trying to keep the price of gas down. Our munitions that we've been sending there now for what, 2 years?
Yeah, pretty much, almost.
Yeah, I mean, how much of our supplies have we sent to Ukraine that we would need if we were to actually get involved into a ground war?
So the question remains, right? So a lot of people are saying that China could invade us and all that. China's not going to invade because China has a famous saying, and it goes, we don't want to invade America because behind every blade of grass in the United States, there's a gun.
Was that China or Japan that said that?
China.
Okay.
That's an expression they use, right? So with that being said, so what will happen is China right now is just sitting back and watching. And they go, oh, see, they're all depleted and they're, all this. So we can go and take back our areas that we want, and the United States can't do crap about it. So, because China does not want a direct war with us. They don't want a direct confrontation. But what they are more than willing to sit back and let us dwindle all our supplies and all that, because the other reason why China doesn't want a direct war with us is because they make entirely too much money off of us. So,
Yeah,
so
that's
they
true.
don't want to fight, but they do want to be able to do what they want.
Well, not only
And
that, we owe them too much money.
because remember, Japan is famous for, you know what, we can't take them militarily, but we'll take them economically. And
Right.
that's, when all those transistor radios from Japan started coming into the United States and all that. He said, that's how we're going to take them over. And China's thinking the same thing. We'll take them over financially. It didn't work for Japan though, because their own economy crashed before they could completely do it.
The real kicker here is these 10 Congress critters. I'm assuming it's half and half, 5 Republicans, 5 Democrats.
Probably.
Sent this letter saying that not only expedite the F-16s, but another Patriot missile defense system and more Abrams tanks, and get the Abrams tanks there even quicker. Now, the unspoken question, the unspoken thing here is, we've got all these American systems that we've sent over there. How many advisors? Remember, that's what got us into Vietnam. Was our advisors got us into it because we had advisors on the ground.
Yep.
Teaching the South Vietnamese how to use our equipment that we were sending them.
Well, if you don't think we have boots on the ground right now in Ukraine, you're crazy.
I'm not crazy. But these are all unofficial boots on the ground.
Yeah, they are, and they're advisors and all that. But they're intelligence people and that sort of thing. But we have people there.
Yep. And in 20 years, the letters will come out and they'll tell us all about it.
Well, see, the thing of it is a lot of this stuff going on with Trump and all this other stuff, it's just distract you from what's really going on.
Right.
That's all it is. It's distraction, distract.
Well, if you really want, since you brought up Trump, there's 2 grand juries going on Trump right now. One in D.C. and one down in southern Florida. And rumor has it, and I'm going to say because of course you never hear any of this stuff officially, but rumor has it that the one in D.C., the grand jury in D.C., is nothing more than a weeding out jury. What the FBI is doing is subpoenaing people. They're going talking to people about Trump. And anybody that tells the FBI, go get Ben, I'm not going to talk to you, they subpoena them to the grand jury in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And then depending upon what their testimony is there in Washington, D.C., because if you tell the FBI, go get Bent, they don't know what you're going to say.
Yep.
And grand juries are there to indict a person. They're not there to say that no, you don't have enough. They're there as a rubber stamp for the district attorney or for the prosecutor.
That's what grand juries have turned into, yes.
Right.
But the original purpose of the grand jury was to find out. But see, then a lot of people would get on these grand juries and not even realize that they're allowed to ask questions and all this. So grand juries have turned into just basically a complete sham.
For the most part, yes. The old saw, a halfway decent DA can get a ham sandwich indicted.
Yep.
So what they do though is that when you get before that grand jury in Washington D.C., when they get the people there, depending on what the, if how that goes, they then turn around and anybody that is of use to the Democratic machine, to the Democrats, the anti-Trumpers. Let's put it that way, because there's a lot of Republicans who are against Trump too. So the
Yeah.
anti-Trumpers, then they get sent down to the grand jury in South Florida to testify there. And then, and again, this is rumor. This is rumor and conspiracy theory. Let me make that clear. The idea is that they're looking for another indictment of Trump just in the early part of next year, just before the debates and the nomination process gets really started. To
No,
bloody Trump as much as possible.
what's going to happen is they're going to get their indictments and everything, but the trials won't start until after the primaries are over. And the reason for that is because the Democrats want Trump to be the nominee on the Republican side because they think they can beat him again. But they also know that if they start these trials at that time, then they can hide Biden and they can make Trump look really bad. And then at the last minute, they'll trot out Gavin Newsom.
That's this is going to be, and this is another thing here. I mean, this is not something that I planned on, but you brought it up. So let's take this railroad track down this spar for a moment or two.
Man, it's freaking raining outside. Yay.
All right. Now, it's pretty much assumed that Kamala is going to be his running mate again for the next election.
That's the assumption now.
That's the assumption now.
But let's not put the cart before the horse.
That's just where I was going. Do you think, with her being the laughing stock of the country, I mean, even Democrats make fun of her.
Everybody should make fun of her because she is a complete idiot.
Do you think that they'll dump her in favor of in favor of Gavin Newsom?
If they could dump her now, they would.
No, but see, being as Biden hasn't officially announced yet.
Yes, he has.
Oh, has he? Yeah, I missed that. I missed his official announcement then.
Yeah, it's a foregone conclusion.
But that a foregone conclusion is different from a formal announcement.
Yeah, he did the other day make a formal announcement.
So. Okay, I missed that then.
At least I thought he did. I could be wrong because it won't be the first or last time I've been wrong. So,
because up until he formally announces that she's his running mate, because I could imagine them swapping Newsom in for her as for a running mate.
Yeah. And
then once again, at least this way they've got it's they've actually got somebody that's more
think about it this way, all right? So
somebody's not such a complete idiot.
All right, so here's the thing, right? The year that Obama got elected, nobody ever heard of this clown.
Newsom
No, nobody.
or
Obama. Nobody had ever heard of Obama, right? Then the week before the primary, they go, "This is the guy we want." He made a couple speeches, right?
well, he got
And
the 4 years earlier when he gave the keynote speech at the Democratic National Committee thing. That's
right,
where he got that. That was his launching pad.
yeah. But so, for all intents and purposes, right, he was relatively unknown. He was, an up and coming star, right? And
Right.
then at the last minute, he joined that race and he won that primary. Oh boy, then we got him. So what's going to happen this time around, right? Is because you notice how Gavin Newsom all of a sudden is making all these speeches and doing all this stuff and all that.
And
So
he
what's
seems
going to
to appear in D.C. every time
Biden goes
Biden's
somewhere?
out.
Yeah. So now what's going to happen is right before the primaries, he's going to go, you know what? He goes, I think I'm going to try my hand at this. He's going to win that primary. And that's going to be because Biden's just doesn't have the popularity right now. And even though they're trotting out, the media is all trotted out for him, saying that if you don't vote Democratic, you're a racist and white supremacist. And, come on, the community of white supremacists in the news media eyes is getting quite diverse with all these, people that they're calling. I mean, they call Larry Elder a white supremacist for all. I mean, come on, seriously. So that's what's going to happen. They're going to, I mean, that's how I see it, so that's my prediction. And if I'm wrong, y'all can come back when we're streaming it and make fun of me, and I'm perfectly okay with that.
I don't think RFK is that's going to be a footnote, I think, because he's a bit out there.
RFK?
Yeah.
Not really. Makes a lot of sense. But the problem is he's getting no airtime or anything, so his message is not getting out there.
But
So I think they're going to do
he's a
everything
bit
in his
Looney
power to
Tunes,
stop him.
isn't he?
No,
I thought he's one of these conspiracy. He's left-wing conspiracy nutcase.
no.
Am I that far out of it
Well,
this year?
the thing is, they're trying to paint him as that, but he's not that at all. And if you actually listen to him when he speaks, the guy makes a lot of sense. And, I mean, he's on the verge of being, well, what he is he's anti-COVID vaccine. So strike one. All right, because he was saying that they should have done further testing in that, and he was totally against the mandates when the mandates were being put out. He's pretty free speech, he's not horrible on the free speech thing. He's not horrible on the Second Amendment. He's not great, but neither's Trump. So, all in all, he's not. He's the typical New York Democrat.
Let's see here.
And his policies would be better, not a whole lot better, but they would be better than what Biden's are.
Okay, let's see here. I'm looking up the Intelligencer on him, an article on him.
Yeah.
Kennedy is the founder of an anti-vaccine organization called Children's Health Defense promoted the disproven claim that the vaccines not the vaccine, but vaccines in general cause
Right.
autism. And
Well, there were a lot of people on that bandwagon, so you can't call them crazy for that.
right when the pandemic hit, RFK Jr. hit the useless COVID treatments hard, promoting horse dewormers and anti-malarial pills that don't work.
But we
But
all know the anti-malarial pills did actually help.
all right,
And ivermectin is not a horse dewormer.
dewormer.
Okay, that it is used for that, right? But
Right.
it's also used in humans as well on a regular basis. So people that say it's just horse dewormer, um, they're not being accurate. That's not the only thing it's used for.
Okay.
It's an antifungal as well.
All right. Now this is interesting. They're saying the far right is supporting Kennedy.
No.
The number is likely to rise, particularly if Kennedy continues to draw praise mostly from the far right.
Well, remember, in their view, the far right are moderate Republicans.
Well, that's true.
So there are a lot of moderate Republicans that do support him. As a matter of fact, he was on.
Do they support him because of his name and his lineage?
No,
Or
no,
what? Because
no, that's not it. They lot. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of support amongst the moderates, but he does have some because of his stances on the fact that he did support the use of hydroxychloroquine during the pandemic. He is okay with a lot of things that moderate Republicans also are okay with. So that's where that goes.
let's see. Kennedy says during his campaign announcement that corporate feudalism in the country commodifies children, harms people with chemicals and prescription drugs, weakens the middle class. You know, he says he wants to debate Biden, but the DNC has already said that there won't be any debates.
Yep.
So if the DNC,
Well,
being a
that's the
private
reason.
entity, can say, all right, there will be no debates.
Yeah. And so here's the thing is because they can't have Biden debate anybody because he stumbles through and mumbles and that, and he's not altogether there to debate. I mean, it's almost impossible to have a debate with somebody like that because.
Could you imagine a debate between him and Fetterman?
Oh, that would make my day.
Or no, oh, really? Him, Fetterman, and Kamala.
That would be the. And you know what? They need to have Mersh as the moderator. That would be him sitting there telling dick jokes through the whole thing would be the most appropriate. You know, we need to get that trending. We need to get that trending.
Oh God. I know there's some people on YouTube that do pretty good imitations of all three of them.
Yeah.
Need to get them three together. Get three of them together to do a.
That would be hilarious.
And could you imagine getting that to the point that people would mistake what they've said as what the candidates actually have said, much like what was done to Sarah Palin by Tina Fey.
Yes, that would be freaking awesome.
You know, get that stuff so confusing because they were so dead on accurate.
So I think what everybody needs to do is tweet out and tagged Mersch, Roy Lopez, and Adonis Paul with this idea. Because if anybody can make it happen, those three guys can.
There's a woman that looks a lot like Kamala, and she does a pretty good imitation of her. There's a white woman that does an amazing vocal imitation of Kamala. But, I mean, she's a older blonde, so
Who's that?
she doesn't look anything like Kamala.
Who's that?
I will when I find her again, I will DM it to you, because she is absolutely hilarious with her Kamala
I gotta
impressions.
hear this. I must know who this is.
Okay, let's see. Okay. Where did I see her last? I think I saw her last over on TikTok. But anyway, if I find it, I will. Okay, let's see here. And there. Oh, all right. Let's see here.
You know, actually, if you just pulled some of the clips from them speaking
Right.
and put it, spliced them together, kind of like a debate thing, have asked the question, then put in the appropriate clip, that could be funny as hell. Welcome to the presidential debates. And then have, that clip of Fetterman going, hello and good night. And that could be great. That could be so great.
Okay. Da, 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 da. Scrolling, and I don't see her
Keep your
here.
doggy scrolling. No, don't worry about it.
Yeah,
Worry
but
about
anyway,
it later.
yeah.
You're going to have dead air. We don't like dead air.
Nah, I don't like dead air. All right. So,
We got to keep these people entertained.
okay.
They come to us for entertainment and enlightenment.
Well, then
we must do that.
Okay, we've already talked the crap out of that. So what's this one here? Oh, okay. I'm sure Monkey's already talked about this, but I'm going to show the video of it here. All right. There was a Pennsylvania Pride March the other day.
Oh, yeah. The family-friendly one.
And
I think Mr. Slave from South Park was in there.
Well, this happened. Is that showing up for you guys? Yeah.
Oh, the guy getting arrested. That's not the one I was thinking of.
This is public property. Oh, I'm respecting it. That's you know who's cheering for us? The people that are in hell. So you do you, and I'm going to do me. This is public property.
All right, now we're going to start this off, okay? The guy's not violent, obviously. He's not getting violent there. He just said, I'm going to say my piece. You do you. I'm going to do me.
Yep, he's correct in saying that.
All right, he's standing on a public sidewalk.
You. God is not. That's all. God, this will be public.
All he said was God.
Yep.
He's wearing a T-shirt that says you must be born again. I mean, counter protesters lining a street is normal. whenever you have any kind of a political march. I mean, you go and
Even
when
non-political marches.
even well, whenever you have anything going on down a public street.
God is not. That's all. Got this one.
Getting this on film.
Can I give him my bag while he stuffs him? Yo, I'm gonna need you to go to 128. And they're clapping. Brothers, man.
They wouldn't even let him give away his backpack.
I cannot believe I'm watching this.
Altar. Oh.
All right. So, guy's being jacked up. He's being arrested. Okay. Where's the article I had? Da, 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 da.
Yeah. So
Here
you
we
guys
go.
think you have freedom and liberty in this country?
So,
I mean, what would our grandparents say about when they see shit like that?
okay, here is the affidavit of probable cause for the arrest. On June 3rd, 2023 at 0900, I was assigned to work community event at the 800 block of Washington Street. The event was a flag-raising ceremony at City Hall for the beginning of Pride Month. The event was approved by the city and the organizers were issued a permit. There were a few protesters on the location. I told them that they had to stay on the opposite side of the street and they could not be disruptive. He was on the opposite side of the street. The key word here is disruptive. At approximately 10:05, another male identified as Damon Atkins arrived at the location. He was carrying a sign with the slogan on it that showed his opposition to the event. He began to yell to the people at the event. I immediately approached him, told him that while he was free to stand on the side of the street and hold his sign, he could not cross the street or yell comments intended to disrupt the event. That's a violation of that man's First Amendment rights.
Yep.
Yelling comments is not disruptive as in a public setting such as this. In a town hall meeting, yes. In basically any indoor political event, it could be considered disruptive. But in a public setting such as this, that is not disruptive. Police will often attempt to arrest people for interfering if they're yelling at the cops while they're making an arrest or something. But interference and disruption at that point has to be a physical act, not a verbal act. This case is going to get thrown out. This is my gut.
It does.
All right. Could not yell comments or yell comments intended to disrupt the event. Atkins said he understood. Less than a minute later, he resumed yelling derogatory comments to the people across at the event. Because I'd already given him a warning, I immediately told him he was being arrested for disorderly conduct. Officer Dupree and I handcuffed him, escorted him away from the location to await transportation to central processing. I respectfully request Atkins be arraigned for disorderly conduct. All right. This officer, Bradley T. McClure, he has probably just cost, this is in Philadelphia.
Yeah, somewhere in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
He just cost the city a lot of money.
It's cost him probably in the neighborhood of $100,000 for arresting that man and violating his First Amendment rights like that. because the city will, and the city is going to settle out of court via their insurance company. Because all, as I've said before, all these cities, even it doesn't matter what size they are, they've all got insurances to cover lawsuits such as this. And that's why the police don't mind arresting people for it. But we all know, and we all know this, you know, these, if this had been a protest going the other direction, a conservative group having something along these lines,
With a permit and everything else, yeah.
and a group of left wingers protesting across the street, they would have had bullhorns and everything else. And sorry, that's their First Amendment right. They would not have been arrested.
Nope. Yeah, even if they had done something physical to them, they would not have been arrested.
Or they've been arrested and let go.
Yeah, immediately let go.
Right. They would have been, and it wouldn't have been an arrest. It would have been a detainment.
Yes.
Excuse me. They would have classified it as a detainment. So yeah, this is I always find it amazing how these arrests always seem to go one way.
Yes.
And you know, the people actually being, and even if they are arrested, how charges are so drastically dropped one way. And then and the other side, the other way, actually goes to court and imprisonment. But he violated this man's First Amendment, the right to free speech, and religious rights. And in doing what he did, he also could, depending on how they want to go, it could be a violation of his Fourth and 14th Amendment rights. Because they seized it, they searched his backpack, they searched him, and if the arrest itself is illegal, then any searches and seizures that they did were also illegal and unconstitutional.
Yeah.
Please make it stop. Yeah.
Oh, you just now seen my headline?
Yeah. There's a lot of things I'd like to see make it stop. What video is this? Oh, okay. I should have showed this with you when we were talking about jalapenos. It's time for a little bit of fun. And you can't tell me you've never done this.
I can tell you anything I want.
Okay, and it's not playing. So can I refresh it and get it to play? There it goes.
Hottest chili, and I'm wearing gloves. Is the Carolina Reaper chili. It's the world's hottest chili, and I'm wearing gloves right now because all of that heat, well, it comes from these seeds right here. Now, I just came back from Beast, where they held Melbourne's annual chili eating competition, and competitors had to compete eating these chip.
I didn't see it.
Oh, you didn't see it?
No, I missed it. What do you do? Eat one?
It's the world's hottest chili, and I'm wearing gloves right now because all of that heat, well, it comes from these seeds right here. Now, I just came back from Beast, where they held Melbourne's annual chili eating competition, and
oh, he's sucking ass.
The best part, though, is the expression on his face
competitors
here.
had to compete eating these chips.
Dumbass.
Oh my God, what did I just do?
Well, that's going to hurt for a while.
Ah. Yeah,
It's
hey,
sort
B
of like-
token, yeah.
That's pepper spray on steroids right there.
I token, I've done that. I've done that. Be cleaning Carolina Reapers or habaneros or jalapenos. It doesn't matter.
Well, it's like the
And-
time my wife, she bought some jalapeno plants from Lowe's, right? Stuck them in
Mhm.
the ground. And so a bunch of these peppers came off, and I kept telling her, I said, "Dear, those are not jalapenos." She goes, "Yes, they are." I said, "No, those are habaneros. I can tell by looking at them. They're not jalapenos." Well, the plant said they were jalapenos. Those are habaneros. And so she cut one up and threw it in a hot wok because she was going to make stir fry. We had to evacuate the house. I told her no.
She did it seeds and all.
No, she cut them up, scraped the seeds and all that. But still, I mean, it was like, there was just this. And so after all cooled down, she made that. Man, I took one bite of that shit. It was burning my mouth for. There was way too much pepper in it. It was burning. Be token.
Oh man, that definitely sounds rough.
So, B token, is that like Alice B token, or just you B token? Just quick question on the username. That's all, because some of us are old enough to remember what that was.
Well, just I be token. Let's see here. I want to go over the.
Yeah, Data. So, okay, I'm going to address something that Data said in chat real quick.
All right.
He says, remember back in the day when President Bush was in charge and they pinned up protesters and chain link fencing pins? I do remember that. And I also remember when Barack Obama said that you cannot protest within 1,000 feet of him. So, yeah, both of those were bad things.
And I want to be honest, Data, I've got to look up that quote that you said, Bush, about the Bill of Rights just being a piece of paper. Because I honestly do not remember Bush saying that.
Bush did us no favors. Neither one of them did. So, wouldn't surprise me.
I know there's a lot of, there's a lot of politicians that, by their actions, I would say they believe that way. And not just politicians, but I am not anti-police, people. I'm not anti-police. I'm not a defund the policer. I'm not anything like that. I just wish they had, or that overall they would weed out a lot, weed out or correct a lot of the training the police get. Like this guy here. All right, there was no reason to arrest that man. There's no reason to arrest what he said. But he was arrested. Everything that man did was within his constitutional rights. But if you follow any of the, I follow Jeff Gray, Honor Your Oath. And for the past year and a half, 2 years, he's gone to different areas and just held up a sign saying, "God bless homeless vets." And that's all he does. Holds up that sign and then he says it to people as they pass him. Good morning. God bless the homeless vets. And he's had police come up to him and he'll tell them, this is my First Amendment right to stand here on a sidewalk in front of City Hall and say this. And cops will say, I don't give a damn about your rights. And as they're trying to throw the cuffs on him or threatening to throw the cuffs on him, if he
Right.
doesn't move along. You know, there's
Okay.
too many people out there, too many police out there that will say that, you know, they just got this idea that they don't, you know, that the Constitution doesn't mean anything to them. And I don't understand why that is.
Because they were picked on in high school or something, and they're well. See, a lot of it has to do with the training and all that kind of thing. But there are a lot of really bad cops out there, and a lot of cops that don't really fully understand laws and rights and all that kind of thing. So, whilst I am not a defund the cops person, I would like to say that I'm a police supporter, but a lot of cops really make it hard to support them. And that's, I'm going to leave it there.
Well, I mean,
That's my thing. All right. So let's get back to,
change the subject, huh? Okay.
let's get back to Bush saying that Constitution was just a goddamn piece of paper. All right. So there are no,
Did you find it?
I did. I looked at quite a few things. There were several articles that were written, but the sources that were used in those articles are extremely unreliable sources, and they're just that. They're just sources. So, frankly, I don't think he said that. And I think it's one of those things where once it was in the news, everybody now says, you know, that's what he said. So I'm thinking it's one of those, the Tina Fey effect. So I don't think he said that, but I do think he said something like, you know, quit throwing it in my face or whatever. Because, you know, there were times I'm sure when he did and said things he probably shouldn't have. And I agree that he was not a great president, either one of them, father or son.
Right.
I think father was better than son.
Son came into his after 9/11.
Yeah, he did handle that well, but there was a lot of other
Then
things he didn't handle very well. So
my problem with him was when he created DHS, there were not the proper limitations put onto it from its creation.
Not only that, but the Patriot
And the
Act.
Patriot Act should have been sunsetted years ago.
And so what happens is, you know, they used to use the RICO Act to go after people, right? Because they invented that for organized crime. But now they use that to go after all sorts of organizations, you know, nonprofits and other such things. And the Patriot Act just allows them to go after the citizens who don't agree with them. So, yeah, I think it should have been. Yeah. You know what, Data? I agree with you. The whole family was totally deep staters. And see, I don't really like that expression deep state. I don't think that's is accurate. I think the expression I prefer is the uniparty. But that's just me. But I do agree with you. I think they were total deep staters.
Yep, it's yeah, Data. I found that article too, and it's a supposed three people that were in a private meeting say that Bush said that, and all three of these people opposed Bush on uh, the Patriot Act. So,
Yep.
um,
So yeah, I just have a little problem with that. That's just my thing. So
yeah, and when it comes to politics, and this used to be able to say, unless it's on tape, it didn't happen.
now even that, well, with
You can't,
AI and deep fakes and all that, you can't trust photographs.
you
or
can't even
recordings.
trust that anymore.
Can't even trust video.
No, you can't, because you know, deep fakes, like you said, deep fakes, and the way AI can imitate anything that they want to make it imitate.
Yeah, because there was this episode of America's Got Talent where they had, Elvis Presley singing and stuff like that, and it looked and sounded just like Elvis Presley, even though it was somebody else singing, right? But it's kind of makes you go, things that make you go,
Yep. So yeah, I don't know. You sit there and say, stuff like this. You guys sit there and say, okay, do I trust the source? And how much? And then is this source trusted? Willing to do the research to ensure that what they're talking about is true, or is it a guy who's spouting it all? I mean, every video I just found, every source I just found, all go back to Keith Olbermann.
Well, yeah. See, and I don't trust Keith Olbermann.
And I don't, and I couldn't trust him to butter a piece of bread. So.
Yeah. Data, I kind of agree with you there too. There's a reason why AI and all that's been now. So what they're doing is using it for entertainment purposes and that to get people used to it and liking it. And they can start using it against us. The elite class.
Yep.
Now I did hear an interesting thing the other day, and it was said half jokingly, but somebody said that we're in the era now where we're probably never going to have another president again who doesn't have nudes out there somewhere. So yeah, I did. I found it funny.
When we start electing people who are now in their 30s and 40s,
yeah,
okay, then I will believe it.
Well, but if you think about it, right? Because Melania, back in her younger days when she was first starting out as modeling, she did some nude modeling.
Right.
Which I don't see that as being all that scandalous, because back in the olden times, right? And I mean olden times, when they didn't have cameras and stuff, there were a lot of artists that had women pose nude for them.
Oh yeah.
And and so I don't see that as being that scandalous. So
no, I mean, and anybody involved in any actor or actress who makes involved in movies in any way, shape, and or form,
yeah.
I mean, there's been, while not as frequent, there's a lot of nude scenes involving male actors, besides just topless scenes involving female. Now, granted, female topless scenes are a lot more frequent because boobs.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody likes boobs. Even straight women like boobs.
Yes, everybody likes them. Everybody likes them.
Okay. But, and as far as full nudity with women, they don't have pieces hanging out, dangling around, bouncing around in the air like men do. So, a bit of shadowing or uh, uh, a wig, a, a crotch wig, I think is what they call it,
Yeah.
and that issue is taken care of. Guys, on the other hand, unless you're Marky Mark and wear a prosthetic,
Yeah, for
uh,
boogie nights.
yeah, wear a prosthetic on yourself, it's not as, that most male actors, all you're going to see is their butt cheeks.
Well, it depends on the movie, but so the thing of it is,
Well, I'm trying to keep it straight down to R-rated movies. I wasn't.
no, even in R-rated movies, there's been several movies where there's the dangly bits, and then if you watch True Blood on HBO, there was some dangly bits in there. But no, what I was the
I only saw
point.
the first season of True Blood, and I really liked it. And then we got rid of HBO.
Yeah, I saw the whole thing.
That was so good. I truly
Suki.
liked.
So anyway, what I was going to say is there was a movie that starred a pair of actresses, right? And a lot of people, the only reason they watched it was in hopes of them going topless. Well, they did go topless in a couple scenes. However, their the boobies were CGI.
Oh, really?
Yep.
What movie or show was that?
Oh, I don't remember now,
Oh,
but yeah. So that's what most people were upset about.
CGI boobies. Okay, well, that's a new one.
Yeah. What are you doing?
I am pouring water into my coffee maker
Oh, okay.
because I want to make a cup of coffee here. And
Well, Keurig technically is not a coffee maker.
What do you mean it's not a coffee maker? I put water in, I put it in coffee grounds, and coffee comes out. So that's my definition of a coffee maker.
Well, I'm a snob, so
Oh, you're a percolator type person, huh?
no percolator.
Well,
Now,
I mean,
if I wanted sludge, yeah.
I mean, now that was the only coffee I drank for my first, up until I was 18 years old, because that's all we had we had an old fashioned percolator sitting on the stove.
Yeah, back in the day, I drank that too. But now it's either going to be out of French press or a pour over.
Oh, so you got the little thermometer there to make sure your your water is exactly 210 degrees
No,
before you pour it into the French press.
I don't quite go that far, but
I know a guy who it's not 210. I can't remember. Was it 180? I think is what he said.
yeah,
But he's actually got
160 degrees to be exact.
okay. He's got a thermometer set up there to, his exact temperature needed to get the most flavor out of his beans that he ground fresh 5 minutes earlier.
Yeah, I grind my beans before I make my coffee.
So
Keep my beans in an airtight container.
Tarantino or Duck Dog, yeah. I mean, there's some movies that nudity is a part of the movie more than just gratuitous. But a lot of movies will have booby scenes in them just because boobs.
You say that like that's a bad thing.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. I mean, there's some movies that you just don't need to see boobs in. I mean, The Unforgiven. Okay, The Unforgiven, a great western. Boobs would add nothing to that show, to
Hmm.
that movie. Soul Survivor, Battle for the Bulge. You know, a lot of movies, boobs do
Oh,
not add
Battle of
any.
the Bulge. I agree with you.
You know, a lot of these movies. I mean, like I'm really looking forward to seeing this Dune Part Two. All right, seeing Zendaya's boobs would add nothing to that movie. So, but then there's other movies that boobs have a place in it. So, I mean, I've got nothing against seeing a set of nice boobs, and most boobs are nice to look at.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, if you throw them in just to throw them in, then that's, if it doesn't add anything to the movie, why have it? Oh, but that's okay. Or we'd argue with each other about our pick. Yep.
Right.
Yeah, data. You know, it looks like we
See,
elect
pick on
people to
me.
give us the feeling of being involved, or so we are arguing with each other about our pick for president. You know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and there are so many politicians that if you look at what they said in their positions, you could not you know you're more than likely to mistake a Republican for a Democrat. And on
Yeah.
rare occasions, mistake a Democrat for a Republican.
No, I see exactly what Data's saying. I kind of, there are things I disagree with Data about quite often, but this time I think I see exactly what he's saying, and yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Well, yeah, we do. We go and we vote so that we can feel like we're involved in our destiny in that. But in reality, does it really see? Okay, all right. So yeah, in reality, does it really matter? No, because the government's going to hurt us no matter what. They're going to try to control us one way or another. And see, and the thing of it is, it's always been my opinion, always will be my opinion, that it doesn't really matter who the president is, because you know constitutionally his only real job is to enforce the law, which our current president is not doing. It is not, you know, um, so that's his only real job. So I think in reality, where we really need to get it more involved in politics, and we need to um, really be more informed, is at the local level, and that's where we really need to be informed. That's where we really need to get the right people in, school boards and the sheriff, and all that kind of stuff, because the sheriff will dictate how his police department operates, right? The mayor dictates how a city's police department operates. So really, you think about it, it's those local positions is where we really need to get more involved. See, there you go. I took over your channel. Sorry about
well,
that.
no, because see, I was going back to what Data said there. That attributed to Stalin quote. Okay, the people who cast the votes decide nothing. The people who count the votes decide everything.
Yeah.
All right, that I was wanting to get the quote exactly correct,
Yeah.
And because it's been attributed to Stalin, and even if he didn't say it, that fits that it fits perfectly. And go back to 2012. Okay. The Democrats absolutely railed about who was counting votes. Back to the, let's go back to the Bush Gore election. That was
Right.
what, 2012? The, well, the thing that always got me is, again, Florida law, with the counties that still had the paper ballots, and you had the Chads. Remember the old hanging Chad thing?
Yeah.
Controversy, and they were looking for dimpled Chads, trying to divine the intent of the voter. While Florida law specifically said that for a ballot to count as a vote, the Chad had to be completely removed by the person casting the ballot.
Yep.
The law was, and I'm not quoting the law exactly, but that was the intent of the law. Dimpled and hanging and all, and partially removed. None of that.
Was supposed
None
to
of
count.
those were supposed to count.
Yep.
And then you had guys standing there at the end, men and women sitting there at tables using magnifying glasses, looking for a dimple
Yep.
in a piece of paper.
All right. Well, I'm going to have to skid
Oh, is it that time already?
Yes,
Yep,
it
it
is.
is. I'm
So,
sorry about that.
oh, that's all right. You guys hang loose, hang tight, hang however makes you happy, and we'll talk to you later.
All right, we'll talk to you. We'll see you tomorrow. Friday Fun Day. So, all these things, it is, and I'm not saying anything about any other elections, presidential or otherwise. I'm just referring back to that particular, because that is particularly in the state of Florida that year. Those who were counting those, using magnifying glasses to count looking for a dimpled Chad, which was, in direct violation of Florida law at the time. So let me see if I can find that picture, because that was that. I've got okay. Looking for dimpled Chad images. Here we go. Open image in new tab. Okay, that image didn't pop up very big. Let me see if this one. Okay, here we go. And come over here, come back here, find this picture again. There it is. This is an actual picture from that election. That is actually one of the vote counters. Looking for a dimple, a dot, an imperfection in the Chad, which may have meant that somebody using the little stylus thing, the punch out thing, had meant to cast that vote. that is, so again, this is where the vote counter mattered. But that picture there is, I mean, I will remember that picture forever. That is ingrained in my mind. So, when is this story from? Is it worth even talking about anymore? Yeah, why not? It's Pride Month, so it's worth talking about. Pentagon leaders canceled drag show at Nevada Air Force Base. Air Force leaders approved a drag show at Nellis Air Force Base in celebration of Pride Month, but the Defense Secretary Austin and Joint Chiefs Chairman Miley said no. Now, I don't have much respect for Austin or Miley. I think they are waste of human flesh in their current jobs, both of them. But at least this time they read the room. This must have been for last Thursday on the 1st. Defense Department leaders have stepped in to stop drag show scheduled for Thursday at Nellis Air Force Base. The show was a celebration and Pride Month was approved by leadership, but Austin and Miley, the Joint Chiefs, told the Air Force it is not Pentagon policy to fund drag shows on bases, and the show would be canceled or moved off base. Drag shows and events on military bases have become politically contentious issues in recent months, with conservative politicians and pundits arguing the military should not be spending taxpayer money on them. The military is supposed to be the ultimate in nonpartisanship. And when they start having drag shows on military installations funded by the military, they are now showing partisanship. They're showing well, I don't need to go. In March 29th, Matt Gaetz questioned Austin and Miley about drag queen story hours on bases around the world, including Montana, Nevada, Virginia, and Germany. And see, in the Navy, he's actually got an active duty drag queen that they're using in that they've made the face of the Navy, or tried to. And I don't believe Miley got angry about it. He got about the fact that they were there. I think he got angry because he got called out on him. Because Miley is a very politically correct individual. So, okay. Let's see here. There's one other thing I wanted to bring up. Okay, now we've talked about the country. We talked about God with the guy being arrested for religion. Now, this is an old video, but with all the arguments over people being able to carry guns, I'm just showing that as a reminder. Showing this video as a reminder as to why the Second Amendment is so important. Now, this is a open air cafe. This young man comes walking up, pulls a gun, pointing it at this young lady. He wants her money. He wants to get some stuff from her for free. This gentleman here is saying, not on my watch. And yes, he did shoot him in the back. And he shoots him again right here. This second shot is the one that if he was going to get in trouble for anything here, it'd be this second shot because the guy's running away. But I love this right here. Gets shot and the guy just Supermans it to the floor. And he lays there and twitches himself out. If there's any other reason why we need to have the Second Amendment, because that gentleman in the white t-shirt who displayed his firearm first, yeah, the first editions, now Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Look Homeward Angel by Tom Wolfe. Oh, okay, Data. But yeah, right here is the prime reason why we need our Second Amendment rights. Now, you can call it street justice if you want. And if the guy, I don't know if this young lad survived the shooting or not. Don't know, don't care. As far as I'm concerned, though, hopefully he did not hopefully he did survive, but his right arm, because it looked like he took that first round right through the shoulder blade. I hope that right arm of his is permanently somewhat disabled. I'll have to, Data, I'll talk about that. We'll look at that later on, okay? Because I've got, when we moved to this new house, I got rid of my complete library with very, very few exceptions. And I have managed not to buy any books. I bought like 5 books over the past 5 years that we've lived here because I just don't have room for them. And anything I buy now, books I buy now, I buy digital format. So, but yeah, there's a lot to be said here about people owning guns and being able to carry them themselves. Okay. I guess I'll wait until Monday. Monday, I am, because I've got errands I need to run here, and I got the bug man showing up here in 20 minutes. Bug man should be here to fumigate or to do my monthly spray of the house. One thing about living in Florida, you have got to have your termite, your roach treatments. But anyway, a little foreshadowing here. The ACLU is suing the state of Florida over a law saying Chinese citizens cannot purchase property in the state of Florida. Think about it. The ACLU is fighting a law saying that Chinese citizens cannot buy property in the state of Florida. Our enemies. The ACLU wants to allow our enemies to buy property in the state of Florida. I mean, they already own China Chinese businesses already own something like 300,000 acres of farmland. In the United States. Yeah, you heard that right, farmland. So we'll discuss that later on. All right. But until then, y'all have a good day. Enjoy yourselves. And as always, be with the ones you love and love the ones that you're with. All right. Have a good one.